Okay, so we are on to symbolism now, which is something that you are always going to want to work towards, but it is very important to understand the basics of symbolism because some novels are a little bit more intricate than others, but it is easier to understand symbolism whenever you know the basics. So, what is a symbol? It's an object that stands for itself and a greater idea. So, in the beginning, there, whenever I had you think of those words, those bigger ideas and stuff, and then attach an object to them, so that object is a symbol for whatever you thought of. So, if you think of love and you think of a heart, like a heart necklace, then the heart necklace is a symbol for love. It creates a direct, meaningful link between a specific object or character and abstract ideas and values. So, like I said, a heart symbolizes love. The ocean could symbolize the unknown. So, if you see a character looking out to the ocean and attracted to the ocean, you can assume that they are attracted to the unknown and want to go on an adventure or something like that. A four-leaf clover usually symbolizes luck. So if we look at the lottery that we read a couple weeks ago, the black box symbolizes fear and tradition because the villagers, they were obviously afraid of the box. They didn't really want to go near it. Nobody really wanted to help lift it. But it also symbolizes tradition because it was used every single year despite the fear. So why is symbolism used? It's to provide meaning beyond the obvious, so that way you actually have to think a little bit more whenever you're reading something or watching something. But it also emphasizes key ideas and the theme of the text. So if the theme of the text, remember whenever we did the thematic triad method, we were talking about bigger societal ideas like love, revenge, fear, those kind of things. So if you put an object that you can actually physically see or touch and you can relate to, and you attach a meaning to that object, it's going to make that object more significant and easier for you to understand the concepts of the theme of the key ideas. It's also going to draw attention to the plot and give insight to a character. So if a character always wears this heart necklace that their boyfriend gave to them, but then their boyfriend's away, you can always look back at that heart necklace and think, oh, wow, that's very important to her, just like love is very important to her. So how can you identify symbolism? There are multiple ways, but here are just a few key tricks to look for whenever you're reading a text. So colors and objects that are used repeatedly are usually a good indication. So whenever you're annotating, I always tell you guys that something that's repeating is probably important. Well, this is why. It probably is some kind of symbol. So if the color red is repeated a lot in a text, you could think to yourself, okay, what does this mean? If it's that the color red always appears whenever there's violence going on, then you can attach the color red to violence. That's what the color symbolizes. Also objects. So in the lottery, that black box always came up. It was like, I think, on every single page of the story. So since it kept on being repeated and the author obviously drew attention to it, we can assume that that is going to be some kind of symbol. Also, something to take note of are character names. So if a character has a pretty standard name, it's probably not going to be some kind of symbol, unless, like, say that their name, like in the lottery, Mr. Summers. Whenever you think of summer, you think of like kind of a very long season. So what you could take from that is that since he is the person who draws the names from the black box, you could assume that the tradition is as long as summer feels. So that would be a symbolism as well. And objects that have strong ties to a specific idea. So like those common symbols, like the ocean being the unknown, a heart being a symbolism for love. You could think of the four-leaf clover. Those things are obviously pretty simple objects of symbolism, but they are used in literature. And also something to look out for is sometimes the author will attach symbolism to a character through their personality traits and actions. So if somebody is obviously, there's a novel out there called The Outsiders, and the one character always is beating up on people, and he has these brass knuckles, and he is always getting into fights and that sort of thing. You can say that that character symbolizes violence in the community. So those are just some quick tips for you before we go into our next story. We will be reading William Faulkner's A Rose for Emily, and there are some symbols in there, and I want you to be aware of these and try to think of these little tips that I just gave you while you're reading and while you're annotating. If you still have problems identifying the symbols, then just email me and we can talk about it, and we will get to the bottom of it, and I can show you some other tricks for symbolism. If you have any questions, as always, just email me, and I hope that this helps you understand symbolism a little bit better.